Hello, everyone. Welcome to our amazing chat series podcast. My name is Tenny, and I'm the founder of Making the Move, an organization that helps newcomers of African descent with career transition. Get ready to sit back, relax, and listen to some incredible conversations with industry professionals. These sessions are all about sharing knowledge, building connections, and helping you thrive in your professional life in Canada. So why don't you grab yourself a cozy blanket and get ready to be inspired? Might I add, grab a pen and paper. Really excited that I have, Lovelyn here with me today. Lovelyn is very, very busy, and thank you so much for putting in the time to speak with us newcomers and giving us the opportunity to learn from your experience. I met Lovelyn, I believe, last year through somebody that introduced me to somebody. Anyways, Lovelyn and I met, and we're part of a group of amazing ladies that work at RBC, but now I have moved to KPMG. But Lovelyn is still very much part of my circle, and she's one of the coolest people that I have ever met. So you want to have Lovelyn in your corner. So with that being said, just like to pass it off to Lovelyn, who is going to take over the chat. Over to you, Lovelyn.
Please send my badge, first of all, coolest person. Hi, everyone. Really nice to meet you guys. I'm hoping that we can have a really, really interactive session. Because honestly, I'm still pretty much a newcomer. Pretty much, I identify really, really closely with a lot of people. And I'll share tips of how my own integration into my workplace has been. Like most people know, when you're switching environments, right? Landscapes, culture, all of those things. There might be that period of friction. And I'll talk a bit about that today as well and how I have found to navigate that. Um, Again, nice to meet everyone. So let me start at the top, the very top, and do my own elevator pitch. It will not be as structured as what I use for interviews. So you guys, it'll be very, very laid back. I save my structured, I have a pitch that I use for interviews that's solid. But I will, if anyone asks me, I'll tell you how that goes. So basically, my name is Lovelyn, and I moved to Canada in November 2018. I moved straight from Nigeria. I'd worked for about 12 years in Nigeria before I moved. I'd worked in various front office roles. Anyone in that treasury space in Nigeria will know that we call it treasury. Treasury is where we house all the trading functions. Um, and capital markets is pretty much like a little bit of what they do in treasury. But I'd done front office roles in the treasury space. I'd been a foreign exchange trader for a bit. I've done some fixed income securities trading. I'd also done some ALM, some asset and liability, some asset and liability management as well as treasury sales. So I've done like a wide range of things in Nigeria before I came here. I moved here in 2018 of November, and then I joined RBC in 2019. Um, and I hear that a lot of you are still in Nigeria. And I mean, kudos to you. I know that this is pretty late in the day, so thank you for taking the time to come and hang out with me. So basically, that space between, and I'll go back again to my bio, but that space between November 2018 and September 2019, I'll tell you guys about what my experience was as a job seeker or someone trying to relaunch their career. And then I joined RBC in 2019. I joined RBC in 2019 through a return to Bay Street program, and I'll tell you guys about that as well. And I've been at RBC since then. I'll be, in fact, next week, September 3rd, with my second year at RBC, and pretty much my first job and my only job in Canada so far. Okay, so that's in a nutshell what my journey has been like in the last 3 years, thereabouts. Let me now go back again to the top and start from how I landed this opportunity. The things that I feel got me from being a job seeker to being, someone who was able to successfully relaunch her career. I'll share with you tips on things I have learned. It's a learning journey still. Like I said, I'm still a newcomer, so it's still a learning journey. I'll share with you things I've learned from, talking to people, reaching out to people. I'll tell you why networking is super important and how to network. There is a what's the word now? There's a technique that I found to networking. the way you network when you're looking for a job is different from how you network when you have gotten the job and are trying to progress your career. Um, and so I'll share with you again, everything I say is based on one, my experience, my personal experience. It's also based on people's experience. I love talking to people. I love asking some interesting questions. My manager then in Nigeria was like, how can you meet someone and be asking them? I'm like, but what's wrong with asking them questions? So I'll tell you things I've learned from my own experience and from other people that I, network with and asked and all of that. I find that one very quick way to learn is not exactly having to make all the mistakes yourself. It's really just asking people, tell me what you learned from your mistakes. Tell me what your journey has been like, and that will shorten your learning curve by a great deal. I'm not a proponent for hardship. Hardship is not necessary. If you can find a shortcut, I studied capital engineering in school. I like A to B. Give me that. I like to work hard, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to waste time. Give me A to B, shortest distance, and I'll take it. I don't want to do A to Z and back to whatever that is. So, yeah. So now let me talk a bit more in depth about the things that I feel got me from there to here. And I'm going to touch on a couple of topics. Again, please, you get tech is not necessary at all. Hardship is too hard. Life is hard enough. We don't need any extra hardship. Um, So I'll talk about some pointers, some key pointers. I'll tell you some stories around all of those. But again, like I said, pretty interactive. Please ask me any questions you want. I like to be an open book. I feel that that's the best way we can learn and how we can help each other by being very open and very transparent and very honest. If anything you ask me is too personal, we'll take it offline and I'll be happy to address whatever questions you have. But usually, typically, I mean, nothing is off limits. That's the gist of this matter. Okay, so I'll talk about positivity, right? And why again, I'm focusing now on that period and that space between November 2018 and September 2019 when I was looking for a job. I have a folder on my laptop and I think I haven't went to count. I think I had about 80 resumes and cover letters. So I've been there, I've done all of that. I've applied to roles from entry level to any level. Like I've done the whole gamut. I've done everything. I went to count. I had about 80. I'm like, okay, so see, I have a badge. I've done that as well. So I can speak to that. I'll talk about positivity and why it's important to your journey, not just for you and how you feel about yourself, which not for your mindset alone, because that will affect how you approach issues and how you approach things. And it shows up it's just going to show when you show up anywhere, right? The frame of mind that you're in and the mindset that you have. So I'll touch on positivity and why it's important. I'll touch on mentors and coaches, why that is also very important and why we should also get to the place where we can be vulnerable enough to share with people, um, be vulnerable enough to ask for support, seek people out, be bold enough and confident enough to chase what we really want. And a lot of time, again, like I said, learning from people's experience is great. So, and that's where the place of mentors and coaches can help. And again, like I said, mentors and coaches can have different uses while you're job searching and when you actually get a job. Because to be honest with you, that bit of looking for a job, and a couple of you on this already are working, that bit of looking for a job, it's a different type of integration into the culture. And then when you start working, it's another ball game. So integrating again on another level after I've gotten the job. I'll share any or both my takes from both sides of my journey. Then I'll talk about networking. I'm sure everyone has heard the term networking, but I'm sure you're tired of it. When I first moved here, I thought, networking, isn't that like man, no man? Like, what's the difference? Um, I'm not quite sure yet what the difference, but I have an idea what the difference is. One is more formalized and one is not. But networking is very, very, very important. And I'll share tips with you on how you can make your networking very effective. Then I will also talk about the place of you reminding yourself of your success stories and how that particularly can be a great tool to use when you're interviewing. I'll talk a bit about that as well. The last two things I'll talk about would be, again, I think I kind of taught it already, is being able to ask for assistance when you need it, ask for support when you need it, and also showing gratitude, right? I want to go back to the top. Positivity, number one. So when I first moved here, I mean, I was applying to jobs. My husband, I came here with my husband and my three kids. I won't say we're all applying to jobs. Minus the kids. We're both applying to jobs. And we applied, everywhere. Just wanted jobs that we could at least, because everyone said, as immigrants, sometimes it might be very difficult to get a position that is close or commensurate to what you had. Wherever you're coming from, you might have to take levels lower, you might have to, all of that. And the truth is that I have seen both cases. I have a mentor who showed my boss actually at the time at the bank that I worked, the last bank I worked in Nigeria. And when she moved here, she had to go like many levels lower. This is someone that I look up to. After I think of what would Jesus do, I think of what would Bolale do. And she had to go back to entry level, right? And that was her story. However, that being said, it took her maybe like 3 years or 4 years to rise back to the level that she was before. So I'm always very careful to say, people's success journeys can be different. One thing, however, that you cannot take away is the experience that you have. That will always be relevant, whether it's in Nigeria, whether it's from Dubai, the experience that you have, because you've grown, you've matured, you've gained a level of intelligence that comes from growing through those steps and having to deal with people and having to work in an environment. All of those things no one can throw away. You cannot discount that, right? So I always say, even if you have to go sometimes, some people, not everyone, but where, like my friend's case, she had to go many levels down. But today she's back to being a senior manager at CIBC, and it took her like, 4 years? So that would always show for you, right? So don't be discouraged if you're in a place now where you feel, this is not where I should be. There are steps that you can take, and the thing is just to be active about it. To always remember that, what, I have got what it takes. Number one, positivity again is you need to remind yourself that, it doesn't matter where I am today. I know I have what it takes. If Lovelyn can do it, if Tenny can do it, if ABC can do it, I can do it, right? And just take those active steps. But maintaining that place of positivity, I find is very important because, like I said, it's out of the matters of the heart, flows issues of life, so it will just show up. And how I also know that it's very important is that while I was interviewing, and I'll tell you about that interviewing phase for me, one feedback I got all the time, and I heard it from someone else as well, said, Lovely, everyone that you interviewed with said to me that your keen attitude was what caught their attention, your positivity caught their attention. I interviewed with 4 firms for the return to base improvement. I got offers from 2 of them. So I was able to choose the one that I'm RBC, which was my first love. So positivity is very important. I'll say, and I find I've spoken to a number of people where they come in here, they expect something, level set your expectations as well. In my head, I had a 2-year, I gave myself 2 years to integrate. Okay, lovely, you come in here, we hope for the best, we prepare for the best. However, it may not happen off the bat. I'm giving myself 2 years to integrate fully. And that makes sense. You go to a new country, things are different. There might be that time, that downtime, that lag phase where you're trying to understand what's going on. Where's my left? Where's my right? How do things work around here? So be kind to yourself. Give yourself that space and that room to immerse yourself in, your new environment and to learn about your new environment, knowing that growth will surely happen. It's a matter of time and it will happen. So I give myself in my head, I had like a 2-year integration, moratorium for myself. Give yourself 2 years and then you can. So don't pressure yourself, right? That was me to myself. So people work very well under pressure. Anybody's resume here say I work well under pressure. People like that, it's okay. You can give yourself a 6-month frame, but mine was 2 years anyways. So holding on to positivity is very important. Don't be downcast. If you cannot find it within yourself to be positive about something, reach out to people, like-minded people. Find you a tribe, right, or a support group of people that will say, what, hey, girl, this might not be going well. Find your hype person, find your hype tribe. Temi and I, we know this hype woman in our tribe that's a really great hype woman, and she's always ready to go. She's always she's ready to go all the time. So find your hype squad, find your hype tribe that will, whenever you're feeling down or downcast, there's someone that can talk to. I need someone to talk to. I need someone to share this with, and that person will not be a naysayer. I'll tell you a funny. So when I first came, I met this lady in my church that I went to. And she was looking at TV at the time. I said, hey, what, I'm new here looking for a job. She's like, call me later, we'll talk. I'm like, hey. I was very happy that, yes, she'll make some connections. I was very, very excited. So I got home and I called her that day. And then she starts to tell me, well, so what do you have? What have you done? Experience, degrees, qualifications? And like, it would be hard, it would be really hard for you to do this thing that you want to do. Because I was like, I want to get back into capital markets. She's like, there are no candidates cannot get there. You Nigerian, how do you want to do it? You don't have experience, and you don't have master, you don't have CFA, that there's no way you can do it. And she told me all the reasons why I couldn't do it. Right? She gave me a long list. I know she had to do 2 masters when she first came. She did the first one, ignored work, did another one again. I'm like, I won't lie. On that call, I was angry that you let yourself listen to this person talk and tell you all the reasons why you couldn't do it for like almost an hour. I was pained that I actually listened. I was upset. Like, I got up and I was upset that why would you listen to that? People like that, you don't want around you. You do not want me. And it's not, don't tell me it's about reality check. It is not, right? Because the one thing that, and it's all scientific, when they say that people that they find, I think there's a research or a study that people who had, like terminal diseases, but yet they had positive thoughts all the time, they found that they had a higher recovery than those who were like, oh no, I'm going to die, this is crazy, and all of that. So there's even a scientific, connection between that whole how you feel, your outlook, to actually like physical, how your physical body will fare. And so she told me the reasons why I couldn't do it. She said, no, there's no way, you have to go back to school, you have to do this. She wasn't saying that you might to, she was saying that I couldn't. Note, don't let anyone put limitations on you. Don't let anyone tell you that you cannot do anything, right? But I'll go back to our story in a bit. So, but then she told me that, I thought, oh, this is really funny because my husband just got a job at the time, and he got a job by networking. And I'll tell you how his own journey went. When I said to her, oh, well, he just got a job and he was networking, so how do you think it's not? She said, well, maybe the girl that did his own will do your own. I said, okay, we move, right? We move. So that conversation, and it's just about don't let people take away from that mindset that you have that, you know what, success can be achieved and success can be maintained and is maintained by those who try and keep trying. So if you find that people around you are always the naysayers, maybe you need to change your environment, move away from them. I have another story I'll tell you. I met someone recently, she's like maybe like early 40s, and she had come and people said, you know what, she had 2 degrees. I was in school here again. People said, I'm going to take all the degrees of your resume, you're overqualified, you can't do this, yeah. And she took everything up and she was not getting one single call for interviews. At the time that we spoke, she was working in, I think, a fish store where they, unpack fish. And she met me when I spoke at an event. I said, look, lovely, I want you to be my mental health. And I'm like, you know what, let's have a chat. Tell me, send me your resume. And I look at auntie, this resume is not looking complete. Is there something missing? Because there are too many gaps. And if I can see it, people in HR can see it and be like, why is she hiding things? She's like, well, people told me to take up my master's. How can you have 2 masters and take it off your resume? And I get that people might advise you based on, like, in those days, things have changed. 10 years ago, people say, no, you're overqualified. You don't have this. You don't want to show up like you're looking bigger than those already employed. Those things do not hold true anymore. And even if they did, who said you can't be the exception to the rule? You can. So again, limitations, no. Do not let anyone put limitations on you. Strive for what you want. If you have 10 masters, put it on your resume. The person that sees your value, sometimes good people will notice good people. The person that needs and sees your value will reach out to you at that point that you are. And I say to people that if you're not getting hits on your resume, maybe you're applying to the wrong jobs. If you feel like, oh, I have this great resume, I'm putting this out, and no one is saying from an interview, maybe you're shooting too low. Maybe that's a sign that you should go higher. Maybe apply for director roles. Maybe you should, like, literally do not limit yourself. Like someone said, apply and let them tell you no. But don't say to yourself, oh no, this role is too high for me. If you feel that my experience level hits right, I can do this job, then please, even if the right director on that role, do not be scared to apply for it. Let's not limit ourselves. If everyone listen to that, that's their business, but do not be the one to limit yourself. So I will backtrack, and that's about positivity. Surround yourself with people that can lift you up, not people that are naysayers. Have the hope and the belief that you can do it. And that's why I love the idea of representation, because when people look at me and say, oh, lovely, what has she done? What does she have? If she can do this, I mean, hey, she's like me. I can do it too. And that's a great, powerful tool that we can use to lift ourselves up. So that is what I'm going to say at all times. Interviews, be sure to smile, have positive vibes, being that be that person that is a yes person, that yes, I can do this. Don't be the one that says, oh, why me? Say, why not me? Why can't I be the one who gets this? Okay, so I'd say one of my favorite I love quotes. I have this quote that I love by John Gordon, I think. And let me read it out to you. Because the truth is that it can be hard to conceive sometimes, right? But then this quote that I love kind of keeps me going. Let me read it out to you guys. So the quote says, we are not positive because life is easy. We are positive because life can be hard. Positivity is what we use to overcome challenges and negativity. Being positive requires hard work. Being positive is a choice. Having said that, I am aware that, mental health, people's mental health the level and the place that they are at can vary. So I'm not trying to make light of the fact that everyone cannot be. Some people find it really hard to get to that place of being positive, for some reason or the other. If you're at that place, again, seek help, seek support. A closed mouth is a closed destiny, like they said, and I really believe that. Sometimes when we just are able to voice and express and look for assistance, and that can help. So if you're in that space, be sure to always reach out. There's always people around to help. So that's for positivity. I'm going to go now to mentors and coaches. So when I first joined, and I'll go back to how this ties into my RTBS journey. So RTBS stands for Return to Bay Street, right? And it's an award that the Women in Capital Markets facilitates every year. I'm working with partner organizations here, some banks and some asset management firms and some buy-side companies. And they all say, you know what, to the men here, don't feel marginalized. It's aimed at women in capital markets specifically because they feel that capital markets is it's a high pressure environment. A lot of women tend to, in that time when they're either having children or taking care of elderly parents, women tend to step aside. And so it's a very male dominated space. And I figured that they thought, let's find a way to bring back the women who've left. Let's create a pathway for them to come back to capital markets in finance. And that's how this program was birthed. So it's called Return to Bay Street. Bay Street is, the financial hub in Toronto. So you've left, we want to give you a way to get back, and not to get back and start all over again, to get back close to where you were, or at least that where you were before. And so when I came across that program in March of 2019, I thought to myself, oh, Return to Bay Street. I mean, I've never worked on Bay Street. I'd only worked in Victoria Island all my working career. So does this program apply to me? But I went for the networking, the information session, and I met this lady there. She's my first coach. Her name is Marianne. I met her at the event, and she turned out to be Kenyan. She immigrated maybe decades ago, but she turned out to be Kenyan. And after the event, I met her, networking, connected with her. I said, I'm new here, looking to relaunch my career. I mean, I'm not sure about this program. Does it apply to people like me? And she's like, oh yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely we'll talk later and all of that. So from there, we struck a relationship. I harassed her. Not like harassed, but you get my point. I went to her on LinkedIn, I followed her about, and then, talk to me, give me tips, help me here. And she did take the time to review my resume. She gave me some amazing tips for my resume. And she said to me, why would you not want to apply to this program? They want people like you. Don't let anyone limit you. At least apply. Put yourself there, right? Even though you look at the list of people that had won before, no one there looks like you. It doesn't matter. You could be the first. And so I did. And so I applied to that program, and I thank God that I did, because to be honest, I do know that it can be difficult to get into capital markets, but I also think that is changing. And I'll tell you how I think it's changing. So I applied to the program, right? And as you know, by the grace of God, I got shortlisted to interview with 4 firms for first round, second round, and then I finally got 2 job offers. But through that process, I did the work. I can tell you that I did the work. I reached out to everyone, every of the past recipients of that award who was still in banking. I reached out to the banks that were interviewing me. I reached out to every one of them. Not everyone responded on LinkedIn, no, but at least everyone that responded, I had a meeting with them. I was asking, tell me, what was your experience like? What did you do wrong? What did you do right? Where are the pitfalls I should watch out for? What can I do better? Is my resume looking good? To be honest, it was a very intense, time of my life, because I mean, imagine interviewing with 4 different firms, having multiple interviews, and like you're constantly, my brain used to ache, not my head, my brain used to ache. But there's a place for doing the work, right? But then there's a place for also being able to find that information that you need, right? And that being said, I've reached out to people on LinkedIn. Till today, they've not responded to, and that's fine. People might be going through different things at different things in their life. I don't know. I'm not privy to what they are going through. But what I can control is how I react to rejection. Let me use that for lack of a better word. When people don't respond to you on LinkedIn, don't take it personal. Don't say, oh, I reached out to 10 people, nobody responded. Or one responded. That's 10%, Abby. What if you had what if you hadn't reached out to anyone? That's 0%. So still always put yourself out. Take the shots that you can take. Even if you take 110 come back, that is still a success rate. Than saying, oh, you know what, nobody's going to answer. Let me just stay and just be trying on my own. It'll be much more difficult. You might still get there, but it'll just take so much more out of you. So to that point, reach out to people, identify people that are trying to either achieve what you've achieved, identify people in your space that either are very open and willing to share information, and reach out to them. Don't think, oh, they're too busy, don't answer me. Put yourself out there, you'll be surprised, right? So take all the shots that you can take, and that again comes from how you feel about yourself. So don't think, oh, no one will answer me. I don't have a nice sounding name, or I have no this experience. It doesn't matter. Don't limit the opportunities that could be opening up to you by yourself. Take them. Let it be that they don't respond to you, or they say no. And if they say no, okay, well, I'll go and check. Why did they say no? Is it the way I reached out? Is it something I could be doing? And I'll ask for feedback. Could you tell me why this is not working? Could you tell me why that is not working? Right? And so bottom line is, do not take rejection personally. When you're networking or asking people to be your mentors or to coach you, don't take it personally. Back to this Marianne story, the woman I said I met at the event. I harassed her, literally stalked her on LinkedIn for a while. She didn't answer me at first. At first, she was like, let me know waste my time. I don't know whether this girl will go far. She told me, yes, applied all of that. I applied, right? I told me I've applied and all of that. She didn't respond for a while until I got shortlisted. And I said, you know what, Marianne, I still went back to her and said, hey, I've gotten shortlisted. I need your help. I need interview prep. I need to. So at that point, which is like, okay, this girl is doing the work. She responded to me, and I think they have a really tight relationship even till today. She said, okay, you know what? Let's have a meeting. Come over. People want to see that you are willing to do the work. They want to see that as they're willing to put their capital out, whether it's sweat capital or social capital, they want to see that you will follow through. And I still heard that from my career coach last week, saying, Lovelyn, when I tell you to do stuff, you do it. A lot of people don't do it. Because, and again, it goes back to, that feeling of maybe sometimes you're scared to be rejected, or life happens. That will always happen. Rejection is a part of life at this point. Bad things will happen, but that resilience to push through, despite what happens, that is courage. That is real courage. And I'm really hoping that we get to the point where we can challenge ourselves to put ourselves out there and to build that self-confidence that we can build for ourselves.
Hi everyone, it's Tenny here. At Making the Move, we understand that securing your desired job in a new landscape can sometimes be confusing and overwhelming. Did you know that working with a career coach will accelerate your journey? Our coaches will provide personalized guidance and support to help you reach your career goals. We don't just stop at advice, we're here to help you get hired. Our tailored packages are designed to meet your unique needs and help you succeed. So don't let the job search drag on any longer. Take control of your career and invest in your future. Check out www.makingthemovemtm.com/coaching to learn more about how we can help you get hired and land your dream job in Canada. It's time to supercharge your career journey. Let us make it happen.
So I harassed Marianne, and she answered me eventually. She helped, and from that point, she was she coached me. I went to her house, we had interview prep. She told me what to do. This is how you dress. This is where you go for interviews. Dress for the role you want. Don't wear. She told me, love me. Wear black suit and white. I'm like, and this is yeah. So that is a power. There's a reason why they call it the power suit. That's what you're gonna wear. And I would. She said, people will address you the way you are dressed. And it's the way it is. When you see someone, you have an impression already, and that's another story about dressing for interviews. I had a mentor for interview clothes, by the way. I have mentors everywhere. I have a mentor for everything. From what will I wear for interviews to how should I say this? How should I craft this message? And I'm not dumb. I mean, I'm not the smartest in the room, I agree, but I'm also not dumb. But still, asking questions of people who are ahead of you is wisdom. It's not about saying, oh, they will think I'm stupid. No, 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 no. It's none of that. When you're asking questions, you will not miss your way. And you get that, you have that leverage where you can have this varied perspective, this varied view, this varied idea. Remember again that a lot of us, we're new here, for some people that are new here. So you can't say that you understand in total the nuances of the culture. So asking people for help and direction is actually wisdom. So don't ever be scared or shy to say, you know what, could you help me with this? Or what do you think about this? It's actually a sign of strength to be vulnerable enough to ask questions and to ask for the help and direction. So eventually Marianne, well, back to mentors and coaches, Marianne was very useful, but that's because I chased her. I did chase her, and beyond chasing again, I did the work to help me, right? To work with me, to direct me. So when you're asking people to do stuff for you to help you, remember that you also have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to show yourself, what's the word now? Show yourself approved, is that how the Bible says it? But you have to be willing to do the work. There's also sweat equity that you have to put into the equation to the relationship on your part as well. So don't remember that bit. But yes, mentors and coaches are very important. I had someone ask, you know, hey, I have an interview tomorrow. What do you think? What's good to wear? I have these three options. Yes, I was that extra. I would ask for what I should wear, what colors are okay. I mean, I knew I was the head of a department before I moved here. But again, it's wisdom in coming to a new place and realizing that not everyone will speak your language. Not everyone will understand things the way you understand. And I really do want to be successful. So I really want to understand how it works here. Right. So there's a place to just know that I can ask for help here, I can ask for help there, and do all of that. So that's what mentors and coaches, they're very important. And by the way, someone asked me today that, oh, how do you ask someone to be your mentor? And I said to her that I've only ever had one formal mentor, and I have mentors everywhere. I don't necessarily believe that the only mentors you have are those that you ask formally to be your mentors. Mentors are people that literally will direct or guide you. You can meet someone and say, let's have a meeting, I want to learn from your experience. And then you build a relationship and then it grows organically. That person is your mentor. It's not necessarily oh, will you be my mentor? So don't be stuck in that box that, oh, because I did not ask them formally, they are not my mentor. Anyone that is helping you or directing you or sharing their advice or experience with you literally classifies as a mentor. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Networking. This one is very, very important. And from here, I'm going to jump to success stories and then I'll take a pause there for questions. And I'm an introvert, by the way, and I hope nobody's rolling their eyes at me, but I'm an introvert. At least I was nominated for most reserved in my senior year of high school, just so you know how introverted I am or can be. So networking didn't come easily to me. Reaching out to people and saying, oh, I need you, I want to, I want to get to know you, I want to learn this from you. That whole place of social networking, and it's a job here. It can be like a full-time job networking. But I struggled with it because the whole small talk again, the way I do small talk based on where I've grown up and have been is not the same way small talk is here. We don't always relate on the same topics. I don't do hockey, I don't do basketball, I don't do curling, the usual things that you talk about. So I used to struggle with that until my mindset about networking changed. And how I see networking now, and that's what has helped me, is that, because like I said, I like talking to people. I'm a people person. Is that look at networking like building relationships. Don't look at it from the angle that, oh, I'm trying to get something from everyone that I meet. You might get something, right? No, let me take that back. Don't look at it like you're trying to get a job or a leg up from everyone that you meet. But what everyone does have to give you is information, is share their experiences with you. And those things don't necessarily directly translate to either a job or a promotion. But cumulatively in those little snippets, you get wiser and wiser, and then you start to build and gain. So when people used to say that your network is your net worth, I really truly understood what that meant this year, to be honest. It's not about money. It's about the fact that when you have access to many people, senior leaders, colleagues, people below you, people that are younger, people that are older, when you have access to a wide variety of people in your network, what you have is access to a wealth of information. Things that money cannot buy. what you have access to is the wealth of people's experiences. And that saves you money. Think about it. If I don't have to do mistakes of what people did that cost them thousands of dollars, that's literally saving me money. So now when I think of networking, I'm thinking I'm building relationships. It's not the day that you want to drink water from a well that you start digging the well, like an African proverb says. No, you dig the well in advance. So my friends now call me super connected because when they say we love me, do you know, I'm like, oh yeah, I know someone, just hold on, and I will make the connection. I literally almost always know someone that knows someone that knows someone. And that's because I have worked at building relationships. It's not just about just building, oh, I'm networking. It's a thing that everyone says I should do. Approach it like I'm trying to build relationships. I'm trying to dig wells before I need to drink water. I'm trying to lay down my path. I'm trying to expand my territory so that when I need something one day, I already have established conduits for it. I already have established lines, established people. And it might not always be for your benefit, by the way. It might be you being able to connect someone to someone. But then think about it. One day, that someone that you connected to someone is also opening up another path for you that you can also leverage on. Networking is a very powerful tool. When you're looking for a job, networking will give you, again, like I said, information. It will open doors for you. My husband got his job by networking. Let me tell you that story very quickly. So he works in trade finance. And then, of course, we both came here at the same time. And he was trying to, we were both trying to get jobs at the time. And he had a colleague that used to work in Nigeria with him in the same space in trade finance. And so he reached out to us and said, I'm looking for a job. He was like, you know what, okay, there's this trade finance seminar or workshop coming on. Let's go together. And we apparently made an invite for that program, but he didn't have one. He sha get crashed. He wore a nice suit that day. And he went, well ironed shirt, looking good, and he went to that workshop. At that workshop, he met someone who worked in CIBC where he works now. And then, he networked with her, talked about, whatever they talk about in trade finance circles, just normal network, just got to meet someone. I was like, hey, you know what, I'm good for a job, if anything opens up, I have some experience here, I have some experience there. And she said, send me your resume. And she sent across his resume. And then I think a week after or two, she goes, oh, you know what, they're looking for someone to fill this position, and I've sent across your resume. Of course, he kept in touch with her during that time. I looked at his resume, done some corrections, some tweaks. This is what you should do. This is how you should do it. Very helpful lady. But long story short, he kept in touch with her. She helped him with his resume, any opportunity she would send to him. Through her, he got wind of a job that they were going to advertise for. He interviewed on Monday, and he had an offer by Wednesday. That's 2 days after. And it wasn't because he applied to a job that he saw on LinkedIn or anything. It was just by meeting someone. But we never know who that person that we might meet who might open doors for us will be. Which is why, again, I said, take advantage of all opportunities that you can take. When you meet anyone, I said, oh, there's an opportunity here, don't leave money on the table, like they say in the trading world. Follow it through, hey, just keep in touch. Hey, this is what I do. Be friendly, share notes, talk to them, comment on their Facebook or their LinkedIn, posts and all of that. Because you really don't know which doors might open based on your connection with that person. And I can tell you many more examples beyond when you get the job, when you're even working in a place, how networking can open doors for you and how networking can position you to be able to take advantage of any opportunities that come up. And so it's a tool that you can use. But again, number one is don't be scared to reach out to people. Number two, not everyone that you reach out to will respond to you. Like I said, some people till today, my invite is still hanging in their LinkedIn boxes. And it's okay. That opportunity, that means that door is not yours to open. You move on to the next person. Don't dwell that place where this person will answer, so that I'm not good enough. Everyone is going through stuff. People have different things they're going through going on in their lives. Don't take it personal. 3, like I said, I'm an introvert. Sometimes networking takes energy from me because, like I said, it's a full-time job, right? Putting yourself out there, having to think of the right things to say. How would I say this? Being positive through the whole interview. You're smiling. You're trying to, put out positive vibes all the time. You're trying to stay upbeat and let me know that what I have energy. I'm nice. I'm approachable. I'm so that you want around you, right? That can take a lot from you. I always would have time to reach out. Like, you know what, the next 3 days, I am not doing any networking. I'm going to just chill and relax. When you have to take time, when you have to step away from that networking phase, maybe when you're looking for a job or any time it is, and it can be very, very intense. I know I've been there. When you have to take a step back, take a step back. Take 2 days off, take a day off, take 3 days off. Say, you know, LinkedIn is okay. On LinkedIn, everybody reach out, reach out. Yes, you hear the story, motivation, all of that. It can be tiring, and it's okay to take a break when you have to take a break. You know yourself. You know what best. You know what, I am suffering. I'm taking a break. Take that break. But keep in mind that networking, is a way, it's a door opener in Canada. I can tell you many stories, many examples of people that have gotten doors open, have gotten jobs, have gotten opportunities just by networking. So yes, take 2 days off. Yes, take a week off. Yes, take how many days you need off. But know that networking is a big, big, big tool that you can use to advance your career, that you can use to relaunch your career, that you can use to progress your career. So do not take it for granted. And again, like I said, like, it's relationship building, right? Maybe that whole mindset, like, I'm looking for something. When I'm meeting people, I really just want to hear what you have. What have you done? I want to learn something from you. Tell me what it is. And again, it doesn't always translate, into directly into something else, but just know that networking is a very big, big, big tool. And I mean, I can give you practical tips of how to do it. People say, how do I do it? I can give you tips, but let me not elongate this too long. Reach out if you want on LinkedIn, and I can tell you with specific questions around networking, and I'll be happy to share based on my experience and people's experience that I've spoken with. I'm going to pause in the next 2 minutes to ask if anyone has any questions. But just before I pause, this particular one is for those that are still in the interviewing phase, are still in the job searching phase. And it's about success stories. When I first came to Canada, I went to this job readiness workshop that Jumpstart. Jumpstart is an employment agency. So you can see I've done everything. I've been there. I went to that readiness workshop that they had for newcomers. And so I did that for 3 days. And I learned this from there. They said, sit down and write out all your successes that you've ever had from the first day you worked till the current day, that wherever you are now currently. Sit down and remind yourself of all the things you've done that have been amazing, accomplishments, awards, recognition, whatever it is. Write it all down, organization by organization. This will do one or two things for you, like it did for me. One is that when you're asked behavioral type questions at interviews about, tell me how you deal with this, tell me how you handle conflict in the past, tell me how you handle blah, blah, blah. Most likely, because you've walked down memory lane, those things you've had that have been great successes for you, one of them would apply to that question that you're being asked at the interview. And because you've walked down memory lane recently, you don't have to scramble to say, let me try, but give me 2 minutes, please. Meanwhile, you're under pressure trying to think you're in an interview. You don't have to do that at the interview. You immediately remember, and it helps you with your structure, with articulation, and it just reminds you again. It's nothing to do with it. It reminds you how awesome you are, the things you've achieved, the things that you've been able to do, right? Um, and for me, interviewing, that was a big, big, big tool, because once they asked me about, I said, I know the one that I did, and I would be quick to recount or to tell them what that experience was like. So I'd say, sit down is an exercise, because I remember things that I'd forgotten totally. Sit down in a quiet place, have a notebook, and write down all your successes that you've had in your past career, your past everything you've done, and you'll see that if you're interviewing, those things you've written will be very good um, responses to behavioral type questions. Interviewing is a whole other topic, and that I like to talk about. I like to help people with interview prep when I can, because I've realized based on my experience again that there is a way that you can interview right. There are some things that you can do. Again, once they call you for an interview, they already know that you can do the job, right? They've seen your resume. Yeah, they know you have what they want. That interview is now you trying to show them who you are and all what they haven't seen on paper. So there is a way to interview, and there is a way to interview well. Again, I'm happy to. Tenny does a great job at making the move of working with people to do interview prep and coaching. But yes, there is a way to interview. Just keep that in mind. I've been talking for a bit. Let me pause and let anyone ask me any questions. And then I would round up with the other two things that I talk about, which is soft skills. I've taught on soft skills a little bit, but I'll go in there a little deeper. And I'll talk about gratitude. I made these little thank you notes that I used to send out to people. Like, actually, I actually made thank you notes. Again, I said I'm a little extra, I know. I made thank you notes that I would send out to people I interviewed with, people that did interview preps with me. I did interview prep. I will tell you that one will come under soft skills, but I'll tell you about that story. But I will send out those notes, and how I know it was memorable was that recently someone said to me that I was the only person. I am the only person I've ever met who sent in an actual physical thank you note. And I thought, oh, I didn't forget I sent it to him. He remembered. I'm like, oh. And we're so tight friends till today, by the way. But he remembered I did it. So some things are memorable and help you stand out. So at this point, any questions? Tell me, do you see any questions for me? I can pause and take questions, and then I would run it up with any other bits I have that you guys want me to talk about as well.
Yes, I'm sure, Lovelyn, thank you so much for that. That was amazing. I can hear you talk. I can listen to you talk for hours. And this is you saying that you won't be able to talk for long. Look at you go. Love it. Okay, I'm sure people have questions. So I'll open it up to the group. Feel free to unmute your mic or use the chat box, but this is a safe space. It's nice if you unmute and ask your question.
Hi, hello, Ms. Toyo. It's really good. It's been amazing listening to your story and your journey, and what you've learned so far. I did have a question. I mean, first of all, I did a little bit of stalking and I looked at, your LinkedIn and all the work you've done so far. Back in Lagos, Nigeria, and then coming here. Can you talk about how you're able to bring those skills into the work that you're doing today? And the second part of the question was about, continuous education, because I saw that you earned the CTP as well, more recently. Can you talk about what that's looking like in terms of growing your career? Thank you.
Sure. So let me start from how I was able to, if I hear you right, correct me if I'm wrong, make my skills relevant, the skills that I had in Nigeria relevant to what I'm doing here. So in the space that I am, right, and that's really like that space where I've always been a trader. I was a trader in Nigeria for a bit. Like I said, I traded foreign exchange. I traded fixed income securities. So being a trader, typically it's pretty much the same type of skills. It's the same kind of like type of foundation. It might be different markets. It might be different regulations, different country. Again, this is specific to my industry. It was pretty much the same typical skills for a trader, right? Understanding of markets, understanding of the fundamentals, being able to do technical analysis. Those things are things I had. What I had to do now was I had to show and prove that those skills were relevant even in a different market. Where it's Nigeria, it's a smaller market, it's a frontier market. It's not a developed market like we have in Canada or Europe or anywhere. But I'm saying to you, it's pretty much the same fundamentals. It's pretty much the same. And in having those interviews and speaking to them and saying, you know what, I've done this, and this is how it translates to the Canadian workplace. You buy how you sell though when you're trading treasury bills. It's the same thing everywhere, right? It's the same. So you have to figure out a way to make your transferable skills, to highlight your transferable skills. And let's assume that you're not even in my space. Let's say you work in a different space from finance, whatever it is. I had a list then that highlighted or that listed a lot of transferable skills that it gave to newcomers when they first came. And it was just trying to help you. Sometimes you know what you want to say, but just don't know the words to use to say it. I don't know if that happens to you sometimes. And they had a list of like hundreds of skills. Like, go through it. It will help you with figuring out the one that I'll look for that list. I found it very useful at the time. It will help you figuring out like, oh, I want to say restroom. Meanwhile, here they say washroom. as an example, right? And having that list was very useful because it helped you with doing your pitch, selling yourself. Because sometimes it's just not how, it's not what you do, it's how you say it. It's not what you say, it's how you say what you want to say. It's using the right words. And at the time as well, I reached out to people here because I didn't understand the lingo at first. I had meetings with people here, you know what, I want to be in your space. Tell me what I should be looking out for. Even the jobs are named differently. Tell me what it's like. Tell me what words, what keywords to look out for. What is this, what I've done? What is it called here? What's the commensurate term here? Right? So sometimes it's just something as little as using the right words to express that thing that you have done or want to express. That's on the one side. On the other side, like I said again, it's sometimes you have skills that are like in my field, it's pretty much the same skills. Negotiation, closing a deal, reading the markets, being able to read the charts. Those skills are easier to say, I've done this, I can do that. I can use Bloomberg. I've used Bloomberg before. I've used Reuters. Those skills are pretty much more, more niche skills, and that is pretty much the same term that we use anywhere in the world. So it really depends on what you're doing. If you're in a space where it's very niche or technical, you have to just understand, okay, I'm looking for a job in this space. Is it called a different name here? Is it called, is it in a different department here? And you can tell that or no by looking for, again, look for people who are either worked in the space that you've worked in Nigeria, who have come here and doing something similar. That can be one way to figure out, okay, how did they position themselves? What keywords did they use in their LinkedIn profile? Or, how did they sell themselves? And they can start to pick from, okay, this is what I should be saying. This is what I should be doing. Reaching out to them and talking to them, tell me, teach me, show me. How can I position myself? How can I do that? That is one way to do that. Something else that you can do, and something else that I still do, is that I just look for people here as well in the space that I want to work in. And so there's one thing of people that have done what Nigerians like me, that have my kind of background. I look for them because a bit more relatable, right? But I also look for people here who've never worked anywhere else and say, what, I also want to understand and learn what you're doing and see how my skills can balance off against yours, give me a sense of what I can be aiming for and what I should be looking for, and how I can position myself to, this is relevant to you. This is what this is called. And this system is what I've worked with before in the past. And so just translating my resume to use the right words and using the right, the right phrases. That's how pretty much I have been able to, let's say, translate my own experience from Nigeria to Canada. Yeah, pretty much that in a nutshell. Second question that you asked was continuous education. So I like to say that education is not for knowledge, it's for action. That's one. And two is the fact that all education doesn't happen in the four walls of a room or four walls of a class or virtual, like now it's virtual world, it doesn't always happen online. Education happens from talking to people, learning from people, learning from experiences. That is also a way that education happens. I think people just think formal education is the only way of education. It's not. It is one way, but there are so many other ways to be educated. Back to why I took the CTP. Again, I've worked in Treasury in Nigeria, right? I've worked in Treasury in Nigeria all my life, all my career in Nigeria, doing, trading roles and some ALM roles. ALM is called Asset and Liability Management, for those who don't know, and it's not typically a capital markets function in Canada. So what that means is that I have this bit of experience where I've done trading roles. In Nigeria, you know how it is, smaller firms, you tend to do a lot of different things. I've done trading roles, I've done ALM, I've done sales, I've done structured products trading, I've done all of that. And in Canada here, there are different places. So I wanted to position myself to be able to take advantage. Again, I'm a newcomer, relatively a newcomer. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to work and where each path might take me. I wanted to position myself well so that if any core treasury opportunities came up that is not in capital markets, I would still be able to take advantage of it. Again, I wanted more opportunities. I wanted alternatives. I just wanted a wider playing field. And that's why I took the CTP. The CTP is called the Certified Treasury Professional. And Treasury, like I said, is not a capital markets function in Canada. So I work in capital markets. but yet I have treasury experience. But I felt that being here, and they say that, oh, you only work in capital markets. I can say, yeah, I have, but I have past treasury experience, and I have a relevant Canadian treasury treasury certification. Bottom line is I wanted to just open up my opportunity so that if I see anything that I felt like, you know what, I want to work here for a bit, I want to work here for a bit, I would be positioned to have the tools I needed to be able to fit into that space, or at least where I put in the door. And to the place of content education, it's great to also be in a place where you're aware of what might help you take you from here to there in the space that you are either working in or where you want to get into. That being said, for those who look at my profile, I have a BSc and I went to LBS in Nigeria, right? Certifications and qualifications are great, always, always great. However, the extent to which you think that they might limit you is up to you. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, right? But I'm hoping that it does, in the sense that don't think that, again, education, like I said, it's not all about what you learn in school. It's about you being that person who has, they don't teach EQ in school, right? They really don't teach soft skills in school. They don't teach all of those things in school. So sometimes being in that place of learning and being in that place where you're always having a growth mindset, it goes beyond, studying, right? I'm doing CFU, and I said, Joshua, you are at level 3. I'm starting level 1, so I'll come and meet you for lectures.
I
So
got you.
be prepared, Zoom yourself. If you have to get new qualifications, then go for it. Bottom line is, do not let anyone limit you. Only you can limit yourself. If you're learning but then do not discount the place of learning informally as well, right? So chase formal education, upskill, things that are moving rapidly, localization, chase all of that, but do not limit the fact that you can also always be learning informally. Oh yeah, Judith. Judith, I'll check you out on LinkedIn. But if you are such a very, I don't want to hustle with you, but yes, I will reach out to you. I should have been studying since, but God will help me. But yes, so that's my response to that one. Yeah, so look for what is relevant in your field. Look for what you can use to upskill yourself, set yourself apart from everyone else, right? If you need to go a little higher to get something in terms of uniform, then get that. If you need to be the person who is young yet very mature emotionally, and that, trust me, that will soon be a skill that will be in high demand and very hard to find, then immerse yourself in chasing that as well. And that you will not find in the school, you'll find in people. So just always position yourself to just be in a place where you're constantly learning, whether formally or informally. That's what I would say to you.
Hello everyone, this is Tenny here. If you're tired of the endless job search, we have a solution for you. Join our community and watch the opportunities come to you. Our talent community is a direct link to top companies eager to find talented professionals just like yourself. We'll help you showcase your skills and connect you with job postings that align with your interests and experience. So check out the caption and sign up to our talent community today to start building your career you deserve in Canada. The opportunities are endless and we're here to help you make the most of them. Okay, we have some questions, I think. So Babatunde, I'll probably read your question. I'll read them from the chat. In your own experience, are LinkedIn applications effective or networking covers more ground?
I would say they're almost one and the same at this point. Because what is the tool that I use for networking? I'm going to ask, if you don't have a job right now, what are the tools that you have available for networking? LinkedIn is number 1 on that list, I would say, right? So LinkedIn is networking. LinkedIn is a tool for networking. And even when you get a job and you're looking to, I won't ask Tenny how she got her recent job or connections, and you're looking to pivot to somewhere else, or looking to, like, LinkedIn is pretty much where a lot of professional networking happens. It's a professional networking site. So I'd say do both. It can help you get that relationship, started, but then you might need to now network outside of LinkedIn, if the need arises, right? So I would say it's one of the tools that you can use to network. It's not the only tool.
Exactly.
Right, but it's a major number 1 tool that you can use. So when you say, does it cover everything? Let me look at that question again. You were like,
Does it cover more ground or something?
So when you
Yeah.
say LinkedIn applications, do you mean like applying for a job specifically or just reaching out to
Yeah.
people?
No, so I mean like job applications via LinkedIn. In your experience, are those when you compare that to like the examples you've given, reaching out to people physically at conferences, workshops, and whatnot, like which one has proven to be more impactful based on your own experience and the experiences of those people you've talked to, people in your circle?
I can tell you that it's networking for sure. Based on my experience, so I can tell you off the bat that is networking. However, when we knock on doors, we don't know the door that will open. I know people that have gotten jobs from LinkedIn applications as well. So I'd say do both, but based on my experience and people I've spoken to, networking it yields more results. It yields more results than LinkedIn. Again, based on my experiences, either first hand or second hand. But definitely don't sleep on LinkedIn. I know people that have gotten jobs from LinkedIn applications just by applying to a job. I know a lady at my bank who just reached out to guys, said, "Oh, I see that you're recruiting." And he's like, "Oh yeah, are you interested?" I said yes, and that was it. He told her she never applied for the job. He told her, "You send me a resume," and that was it. Just from reaching out to someone, someone on her LinkedIn network. So I'd say don't sleep on either, but based on my experience, networking has yielded more results based on what I've seen. But know that networking also starts from LinkedIn. So there's networking for LinkedIn where you network through LinkedIn, not just
Mhm.
applying for jobs. Is that right? That part is clear, right? Where you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn to network, and that will lead to jobs, even though it's not an actual job application. So LinkedIn is still a pretty good tool to use. It's just how you use it. But I'd say networking yields amazing results.
That's right. I agree. No, happy to share my experience later on. It's not, and I agree with you 100%. Yeah, networking definitely pulls your resume to the top of the pile, but you have to do it well.
Yep.
People don't do
Yep.
it well. They say, oh, Tenny, because I'm Nigerian, like my Nigerian sister, give me a referral. I'm like, sorry, who are you? Remind me where I met you, that I'll give you a referral. So it's how we do it that would get ourselves. So I agree with you 100%.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Tingy. Yeah, so I have two questions actually. So the first one would be, how do I decide between just sticking to my longer term career path of being, a quant? So I'm really looking to be a quant, financial engineer, that kind of thing, versus the opportunities available today, right? So I mean, I mentioned earlier that I'm in like final stages for some jobs. Because those jobs are sort of product management jobs. Though in Canada, they are remote jobs, right? So it's an opportunity and it's good, but it will definitely take me away from the path of, being a quant.
Yeah.
So I also don't know what you think about that. Should I sort of do that for now, or just, be dogged about my quant goals? That's the first question. The second question is, so I've gotten turned down for my 2-3 final stage interviews because I do not have, because the company doesn't sponsor work visas, right? And I'm not in Canada yet. So do you think I should even bother continue applying for now up until like May? Because I plan to move in May. Yeah. So do you think like there's any need that, still reaching out now, still networking now, when I know that the answer will most likely be a no for physical full-time jobs, right? Or should I just chill to maybe May?
Okay, so great questions, by the way. I will start with your second question first about what I think about you applying for jobs, pending when you land. I would say don't stop. Again, this is my opinion. Disclaimer, I'm not a HR expert. I'm not a lawyer. I'm none of those things. I'm just someone who has learned some things from people. I would say don't stop, right? The experience, it will be great for you. People are even looking for interviews to go to, and they don't get those opportunities. So do not limit those opportunities. And then by the end of the day, right, you might see someone who might be able to take a chance on you. Rules might change overnight, and they're like, oh, you know what, we can actually sponsor this guy. Why not? You don't know when that, you can't see the future, right? You don't know when that will happen. All you can do is just be prepared to take advantage of it when it happens. So don't limit yourself in and say, let me just stop. This is my opinion. If you find that, I don't know what your work schedule is like right now in Nigeria. I don't know what your day is like. If it's taking a lot from you, you might slow it down. Again, it depends on your schedule, on how stressful it is for you. I don't know what your home situation is like. All of those things take into consideration. But I would say don't stop. Keep applying, and then you might be surprised that you might get a great job while you're still there. And they say, you know what, work remotely, right? That can happen. I've seen some recent mails going around saying that people are talking about IT, because IT, I think IT, there's a bit of there's a slowness right now in IT. There's a bit of a slow period in IT and in the tech world. So people are looking, they might soon start recruiting from outside the country. And if you're in that position, why would you want to limit yourself? So I'll say do not stop, keep applying as long as it works out for you in terms of your schedule right now. And either way, the experience is great for you. I'll only say be upfront that, look, you know what, I'm not in the country yet. I plan to land in May, whatever your situation is. Let them know what that is like and let them take that decision. And, okay, yes, we'll go ahead with the interview. And I would say to you, though, Ben, let them know that if you were me, and again, I like full disclosure, just because that's how I like to roll, let them know that early enough, not wait till the last stage to say, oh, by the way, I'm not there yet. Just so you don't burn any bridges as well. Because even that whole interviewing is intensive for them as well. And you don't want to be the person that, oh, he just made us go all this way, knowing that he wasn't here. So I personally, and then you don't have to agree with me, but me, I would mention from day one that I'm not in the country yet, but I'm willing to interview and I plan to come. Right, so that they say, you know what, okay, that's fine, we can't go further beyond this. That's fine, it's not urgent for you, right? But if they do go ahead, number one, they'll appreciate you being honest and straight and transparent from day one, and that might actually work in your favor. So you know what, we'll take a gamble on this guy. That's what I would do, right? The second question about your long-term goals versus current opportunities. I would say it depends on many things, right? So you have a goal to be a quant person. Question is, are you positioned now? Do you have the skills? Do you have the experience now to get a quant job? If the answer is a yes, question will be like, so I'm asking now, Ben, are you ready? Are you positioned right now to get do you have the skills right now to get a quant job? Are you just not getting one? Or is your hope that you are going to be ready for a quant job? You're working towards it in the future. I feel like that answer or that response to that will kind of like determine what you should be doing. If it's that I want to, I'm CFA level 3 right now, I want to job on the buy side, but they want someone that is a charter holder. So even though I want it, I don't have what they want me to have yet. So I almost don't have a choice but to do something else pending while I get that thing that I want to get. In that scenario, I would say don't lose sight of your end goal. Know that what you're doing now is something like, a bus stop for you. Don't forget that this is where you want to go and lose sight of it. Remember that that is your goal. And what you're doing now is just like a means to an end for you till you get what you need to be in that place. If the scenario is that you are ready today, you have everything that they need, and you're just not getting those jobs, I would say networking would be the answer for that. To chasing that job while you're doing something else. Again, people's pockets are different. People's balance sheets are different. My husband and I, when we first came, we had 3 children. We considered riding Uber before we both got our jobs. Not because we particularly fancy being drivers. I like to drive, by the way, but because we needed our balance sheets to balance. Kids are expensive, right? So we did consider it, not because we liked it, but because we needed to at least earn money while we were still applying to jobs. Again, I'm not a HR expert. Tenny, you can feel free to jump in here if you want. But what I would advise is there's a project management space that you can be in that is tech facing, that is tech related, right? So you have project management where you have PMs for the tech world, you have PMs for the data world, you have PMs for the correspondent banking world. Find a way to get to the PM phase or area that is still almost directly related to what you hope to do. Because then transferable skills that you build working in that tech space, even though not the quant role that you want, but being a PM in the tech space still will give you some transferable skills. Because you know what you want to do, you're in that place to learn. You are networking with guys who already are quant and saying, I'm in this space right now. What can I be doing in this space that would help me towards where I want to go? right? So even now, start to network with the guys who are at that end place that you want to be, the guys in quants. Reach out to them and say, you know what, I want to get a job. And who knows, they might say, you know what, there's an entry level job. We know you don't have the skills, but we want you to come. They're very passionate. Networking, I think, in that scenario would do a great deal of good. Networking with the guys that are there, where you want to go, and saying, this is where I am. Be very open with them. This is where I am right now. This is what I'm doing. What can I be leveraging on? What can I start to build on, even where I am, depending when I get there? Or do you advise that I go and take a volunteer work in a quant company just for that experience? If yes, can you help me? Can you guide me? Can you refer me? So I would say, be sure to not lose sight of where you want to go. If you're very passionate about it, network with the guys who are there already. And if you are lucky, and I told my husband this recently, if you can find someone who has a PM background and has transitioned to that quant space, you want to be that person's best friend. Because you want to know, how did you do it? Like, how did you do it? And those things are things I can either find on LinkedIn. There's a way to search that. I think Teddy, do you know how to search for like people's career history and what they've done? And there's a way to triangulate it. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a LinkedIn expert, but there's a way that people can find that stuff out. So I'll say, look for people like that and start to network aggressively with people that are there already. Building that again, you cannot start to drink from it. You have to dig the well before you start to drink from it, right? Yeah. So setting up that, you cannot be there yet, but you can start to build towards it. You can start to lay down the groundwork, start to build relationships in that space with those people, right? And they start to leverage on what they know, what they learn. You can say, do this, there's something coming up. And when they do see opportunities that you might be able to plug into, they'll be happy to tell you about those opportunities. Yeah. So I'd say networking for sure, but networking right, very strategically, is what can help you with working out this situation. Tenny, what do you think? You're the HR person here.
100%. And I think, to Lovelyn's point, networking, having like a side gig. I was just telling Lovelyn how I got to my role. I don't have a formal diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm coming from a user experience background, but I found myself in projects where I was working on diversity related projects. Plus, I run Making the Move. So that's what helped me transition at the same level. So I didn't go down a level. So if you can volunteer, do something on the side that you can, put on your resume, that would help you make that transition. That you wouldn't necessarily have to take a step back, but you're continuing from where you stopped. So I think that's a good one from an HR perspective. That would help you.
Well, thanks. Thank you very much, Sunny. Really appreciate that. And thank you, Lovelyn.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lovelyn. I have so many notes. But my question is specifically to what you earlier mentioned, how do you transition from that headspace of, okay, you've now found the job and actually integrating into the work environment and, actually transitioning into that career relaunch that you are on the path to. So I just want to take you back to that because you hadn't touched on that one.
Okay, so let me just be sure I get you right. So you want to know more about the integration phase or the networking after you've gotten the job?
Yes. So okay. Integration into the workplace and then growing from there to other opportunities.
Okay, now let me tell you, I like that question because till today, so I have lots of mentors, like I say. I like to reach out to them to say, what, beyond just building relationships that I feel like will be useful down the line for me, I honestly really just want to learn. I feel like I moved here. I wasn't a spring chicken when I moved here, right? I feel like I had a lot of catching up to do. All of my network had been built in Nigeria. I was heading a treasury team in Nigeria. All of that was pretty much, I didn't have that network anymore. No one knew me here. No one knew, and I had an idea of what I'd done, who I was. In Nigeria, they'll call and say, "Love, there's a job. Do you want to move?" I didn't have to look for jobs. You know how it is at that point, right? And then you come here like, oh my goodness, I'm back to where I have no network. I don't know anyone. No one knows me. I have no credibility here. And I really wanted to just start to build that again. Because even though I joined at a level that was commensurate to what I was in Nigeria, I just didn't have that network. My network was more like an analyst network. So I had to hurry to build that up again. And so I was very, very active with reaching out to people to build my network, even after I started working. Build my network, one, because again, network is your net worth. Two, because I needed to learn as quickly as possible. I needed to learn how do things work around here? How best can I move ahead? How best can I position myself, take advantage of opportunities? How best can I do all of those things? I really wanted to learn. So someone said to me, and I that day told me, I was like, are you joking? He said to me, your success here is based on people's perception of you. And I thought, do you mean that? I mean, the Nigerian I am, we put our head down and we work, right? And success is based on how well I do my job. And he says, nope. And he said, look, people will not tell you this. He's pretty senior, but this is what it is. People really might not get to know you, but they have a perception based on how either they've seen you passing by or like, an interaction with you, either on the job. But that one interaction is what they will now build this perception of you. And what perception to me sounds like, perception is not based on anything concrete. Perception is not based on facts. And here he was telling me that, Auntie, it's not just based on facts, so it's also how you present yourself, how you project yourself, what your brand is like. And all those are things that you think when we are integrating. So it sounds very flippant. And to be honest, I still struggle with what he said. But I'm beginning to see that he's right to an extent, but there's also still a place to build credibility by doing and putting in the work. So to your question now, what I would say is you definitely have to be very proactive with reaching out to people. You need to be visible. We need to go beyond the point where we feel like, oh, our work will speak for us. Because I've heard people say that people have worked like donkeys and have gotten the promotions in 10 years just because they're working in silence. They're working and no one knows what they're doing. And yes, they're getting the job done, but in Canada, if you're not asking for a promotion, you might not be getting it. And I've heard it from many people. Again, everything I say based on my experience in my field. It might be different in another field. But people say, Lovelyn, you will not get what you don't ask for. You can be the best worker, and if you're not asking for a promotion, they'll say, oh, she's fine. Mira likes to work. Oh, she's a great girl, and that's it. And they move on. And they promote the guy who's passionate for a promotion who hasn't done as much work as you have. So I would say be very proactive about networking, even after you've gotten your job where you are now. Reach out to people. Be visible. Build credibility by working on projects that go even beyond your team. When there are opportunities to work on, like let's say, example, I don't know if you guys have employee giving campaigns at your workplace. Put your hand up. You want to be known. You want to be known for a good brand. You want to put your brand out there like someone who is not going to be okay with being in a corner and, well, I'm an immigrant, I'm okay, I'll just be here and be quiet and stand. I'll be part of the woodwork. No. You want to be visible. You want to be memorable. And you can control your brand and control your story in how you live with people. Hey, I'm Muriel, I just joined, this is what I've done, this is what I'm looking to do, this is what I'm passionate about. I'll tell that story every time that you meet someone. This is who I am, this is what I want to do. Before you know it, everyone, Muriel, we know her. She's the lady that likes to work with, or she's the one that is passionate about. So you can actually, right now, start to control your brand and your story. But then a closed mouth will not tell a story. A closed mouth also might not always project your brand. That is the place of you reaching out as well. Get to know people on your team. Get to know people around you. Again, career progression, what I hear around here is not just based on how hard you work. It's also, visibility is a great part of it. And to be honest, I just thought that was a bit flippant, but I've started to see that that's how it works around here. I know someone who pestered his boss for a promotion and finally gave it to him. He just wore them down. He just kept on asking for that promotion. And he got it. I'm like, isn't that how it works? But yeah, so there's a place to build credibility, the place to be strategic about how you're going to promote your brand. And all of those things, promoting your brand, being visible, building credibility, it takes some action on your part where you're reaching out to say, hey, I want to help with this. I'm able to work on this. I have a voice, I'm willing to speak out. I'm putting my hand up to be involved in this panel, to be involved in this thing. Many things I get asked to do, I'm like, you know what, you guys, I'm tired. But I'm like, you know what, Lovelyn, put your hand up and say yes. You're in a building phase. I'm in a building phase and I need to build, like I said, I feel like I lost a bit of my network and I lost some credibility and I want to build that. And how best is by putting myself out there and doing some work with people and then putting my brand out there. So be active, but very proactive with networking strategically. you can control your brand and control your story from now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, a lot of what I wanted to ask, she answered already in the previous question, but you know, I think, thank you so much for talking about positivity. A lot of the things that you were talking about, right? I think I've seen them in my own journey while in Canada. So it was good to hear that. There are some, you know, when we're in the work environment in Canada, because it's different from where we come from, right? From back home. I just wanted to know, as you were rising up the ladder, you had found your opportunity and you're trying to go up. What tools did you use to sort of cope with? You know, there are some forces, obviously, yes, not being rejected from a job, that's an obvious thing, right? But there are some other influences and the politics that go on in the workplace, right? So what tools or what strategies did you use to sort of counter those ones so that your brand could come out and you could take that rise to where you are right now? Yeah.
I'm still in that process of working it out, but I'll tell you the things I've learned again from my mentors and my sponsors. Again, it goes back to visibility. And not just being visible for, you know, non-technical stuff, non-work stuff, but also being visible for the actual technical job that you're doing. So both of them. One without the other might not give the kind of results that you want. So doing a great job all the time, it's assumed that you're doing a great job on your job, right? But then that alone might not give you the acceleration or that reach you're looking for. If you marry that with being strategic about saying, who are the decision makers in my space? Who are those that decide who gets promoted? Who are those that are in the rooms where I'm not in that make decisions? And being strategic about getting them to know you, right? Reaching out to them and saying, you know what, my name is Mpumelelo, I hope I pronounced that right. And I work here, I work there, I want to learn about this, I want to learn about that. I'm hoping that you can have some time to have a 15-minute chat with me. Let me give you a tip. When it's senior leaders, don't ask for 30 minutes. I learned that from them. Ask for 15 minutes. Because they're always very busy. And before you go for that meeting, send an agenda, what you want to talk about. They'll say, this guy is a serious guy. He knows what he wants to. I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know me. I'm not going to say it like that, too, just so you know. I'm going to be saying, tell me about challenges that you face. What challenge have you faced in your career growing that you learned from? I want to learn what you learned from your challenges. I want to learn, tell me about how best you think I can be positioning myself for career progression in this space. Other examples. When the senior leaders, they are trying to, like decision makers, they're trying to get to know them. If you cannot get a warm introduction by someone that knows them and that knows them, you know what, can you please introduce me to them? If you can't get that, do a cold one, but ask for 15 minutes. And before that meeting, have your questions sent to them if they say yes and when they say yes. But I would say again, it's really just about figuring out who are the decision makers in my space. Do they know me? If the answer is no, you want them to know you. Again, it's taking for granted that you're doing a great job. So you have to focus on your core job. You have to be doing your job well so that if they are searching, you'll not be lacking on that score. But this other part is that you want those guys who decide what happens. And again, you say politics. There's a bit of politics everywhere, right? But it's who they know that they can speak about and speak for, right? So you just want to at least know who I am so that if that opportunity comes up and you find me worthy, my name will be getting spoken of in the right place and the right room. So I find that career progression again in Canada is not just about working hard, it's about working smart. It's about working really smart. It's about being aware, being cognizant of what is, obtainable, what is available. And if that is what you want, then being strategic about it. So people might say, you know what, I don't want more responsibilities, I have too much work, and that's fine. If you're okay with your level, I mean, it's fine. But if you're someone who really wants, ambitious and wants to grow and wants to progress, and that is pretty much networking. But there's just a way to network with different people. There's a way to network strategically for to achieve different results. I'll tell you another secret I learned. When you're networking with the bosses or the senior leaders, they are the ones who might, visibility and all. However, if you're networking for people that you need to help you do your job in terms of helping, when you need help on a technical basis, the bosses at the top will not help you. It's the guys beneath them that will help you. So don't forget while you're aiming, don't just think they're only going to network up. You also have to network down as well. So now you're doing two things. You're networking to help people that will help you do your job really well, really effectively. And you're also now connecting that with people at the top that will say, I'm doing a good job, and I know I'm doing a good job, and I want you to know I'm doing a good job as well. So you're doing both. You're networking up, networking down, and across your level. Don't think they're only aiming for the top. No, it's great to do that, but don't just do that alone. So you have to be very strategic about it, but it's networking. You have to network the right way. They have to know who you are. They have to know what you do. Volunteer for opportunities to get in touch, to work with them in a capacity that is not exactly work related. Someone said to me once that all of her sponsors she's gotten have been from not work related projects that she's put up her hand to work on. And people can see that you are effectively delivering a project that is not, let's say they're doing an employee event, and you're able to be like a master organizer. And they see, because that is a transferable skill, right? That will also show up in your job. And they see you in that light, like, wow, this guy is amazing. Have you met this guy? And that's how they become your sponsors. So don't just look for only work opportunities, look for other opportunities as well that will give you that room to get to meet people who are able to have an input into your career.
So I was going to ask just for, I guess, some tips and advice regarding the hiring process, but contextualized for Canada. So, I'm in a situation where I am, I think, fourth stage for a PM role. I've done, first interview, did like a presentation on the project that they asked me to do, but then I haven't heard back. I think it's in like 2 weeks. I reached out once, so I want to know if reaching out again would make me seem maybe desperate, or if I should just be patient or call. I'm not really sure how to navigate that in the context of the hiring space for Canada. So I really appreciate any tips.
Okay. So I'll tell you what I think, and then again, I'm happy that Tenny is the HR expert, so Tenny can pitch in and tell you what she thinks as well. What I think is that it's acceptable to follow up politely. They don't owe you a job, but at least they owe you a response, right? If they do not pick you. And it's not wrong to ask for feedback or any updates. So I would have said to them, when can I expect feedback? So I keep to that timeline before I'm bombarding them. Like they say, oh, you know what, give us a couple of weeks, we're interviewing other people. I would give them a couple of weeks, right? Where you haven't asked or you didn't ask, and you spoke to them, like you said, 2 weeks ago, I would send an email very short and polite, say, hey, hi, how you doing? Just checking in on you. Is there any update following my last interview with you? And in that mail, you can also still, reiterate that, I look forward to working with you. I really believe you can state why you think it'd be a good fit. So I would say able to follow up with them. 2 weeks, I think, is enough time. Don't harass them. Don't, try to bamboozle them. Be very polite and just, I'm asking for updates, right? And if you ask again and there's no response, then I guess ghosting still happens, right? So Tenny, what do you think?
Yes, definitely. Ghosting very much so happens. So yeah, follow up, like give them a week or so and follow up. I'll say like follow up like 3 times. And for me, like by the 3rd time, just move on. But just make sure, like to Lovelyn's point, you are falling within the tax guidelines, because sometimes they do, that is a form of, that's what they will use to filter the person out. So if you're not physically in Canada, even though it's remote, the company is legally not allowed to allow you work outside the jurisdiction. I don't know if you've landed yet. I don't know if you have a SIN number, and all those things play into an employment decision. So yeah, I'll follow up. I'll ask for feedback, and if at the 3rd point they're not reaching out, then I'll move on. And then maybe you can also get some feedback from your friends, in case you've done a presentation, what could I have done better, so that you can iterate for the next one. Amazing. Go ahead, Lovelyn.
I have one last note, Tenny, very quickly before you go. And again, I'd like to share what I learned. I learned this from one of my senior leaders, mentors, and she said to me, Lovelyn, it's okay to ask for feedback even from a networking session. People say, I don't know how to network correctly. I don't know, they get awkward. And she said, look, even at networking sessions, even if you're networking with, if it's a senior person, you can ask for feedback and say, hey, how did I do? What could I do better? What could I be asking better? How could I have navigated this better? And she's very senior, and I learned that from her, and I've been using it since then, and I've learned some really, really interesting things based on some conversations with people, just because I asked them, so how was this session with you? What did I do good? What did I not do well? What would you have liked to see? So that's something else that you can also start to incorporate into your networking sessions.
Okay, so thanks, Ben. So thank you for that. We have to wrap up. So Judith, maybe we can take your question offline. We do have to wrap up because we are very, very strict on time. But you know what, today, because it's Lovelyn, my special friend, we went over and we had more people than usual. Anyways, thank you so much, Lovelyn, for this session. This was very informative. As Lovelyn mentioned, it's important to have a network. So do connect with Lovelyn on LinkedIn. She's on LinkedIn. She's very active. So let's connect to Lovelyn. She's very busy, so do give her some time to respond to your messages, that I would say. Because when people rush me, it can be overwhelming. I have a mentor that said, Tenny, I don't go on LinkedIn. Like, she's afraid to go on LinkedIn because people rush her. So please, let's be, let's be kind. Lovelyn also mentioned that it's also good to network with your peers. A lot of the roles that, people have gotten in through their peers, people that they know that are on the same level as them, because this is people that can actually advocate for you. If you are, needing help with your overall branding, resume, all of that, we do have career coaches in-house that do support, so take advantage of. See you again at our other sessions. Have a lovely one.